They say bikers live by their own code. Loyalty, brotherhood, revenge, but sometimes that same code brings justice the law can't see. This is the story of how one man in leather, riding through the dark corners of rural America, helped bring down a serial killer who had been hiding in plain sight for years. A story the police never saw coming, but one that the road itself seemed to whisper long before anyone else did. The year was 2017, somewhere off Highway 41 cutting through the thick woods of northern Georgia. The kind of road where headlights stretch into nothing and the night swallows everything whole. Rider Volf Hayes, a biker in his late 30s, had been riding alone for months. He wasn't part of any club anymore, not since his chapter, the Reapers, split after a bloody feud 2 years earlier. Now, he rode for peace, or maybe to outrun the ghosts that followed him since that night. He wasn't looking for trouble. But trouble has a way of finding men like Volf. That evening, as the sun melted into rust-orange skies, he pulled into a gas station on the edge of a dying town called Ashburn Creek. Inside the convenience store, the air smelled like burnt coffee and dust. The clerk, a pale kid with shaky hands, barely looked up. Volf bought a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of water. As he turned to leave, he noticed the missing posters on the door. All women, all from towns within 50 miles, all smiling the same way, hopeful, unaware. There were 6 of them. Volf paused. Something about it felt wrong. Too close together. Too similar. Too forgotten. He asked the clerk, "These all go missing around here?" The kid nodded, voice low. "Yeah, nobody talks about it. Sheriff says they just left town. But my cousin, she knew one of them. She wouldn't just leave." Volf felt that old itch. The same one that got him in trouble before, back when he used to help cops track stolen bikes across state lines. Before the system turned on him, he stepped out, lit a cigarette, and stared at the posters again. Something inside him whispered, "Not this time. Not another one." The next night, Volf stopped at a roadside bar called the Rusted Halo. A rough spot, bikers, drifters, truckers, all blending into the same tired faces. He sat alone at the counter, sipping whiskey, when a man slid onto the stool beside him. Tall, heavyset, with a beard that couldn't hide the scars on his chin. He wore a mechanic's jacket with the name Earl stitched on the pocket. "Nice bike out there," the man said. "Appreciate it," Volf replied. Earl smiled. "You ride alone, mostly. Good way to stay free," Earl said. "Too many rules when you stick around." They drank. Talked about roads, weather, the kind of meaningless stuff that fills the silence. But Volf noticed things. How Earl's hands trembled when he mentioned certain towns. How he smiled just a little too long when the bartender, a young woman, leaned over the counter. Later that night, when Volf went out to smoke, he saw Earl in the parking lot, talking to that same bartender. She looked uncomfortable, backing away as he leaned in. Volf didn't think. He stepped forward. "Everything all right here?" Earl straightened, fake smile spreading. "Just talking, brother." The bartender hurried back inside. Volf and Earl locked eyes, and in that second, Volf saw it. Something dark, something feral, something that didn't belong in a man's eyes. The next morning, Volf found himself heading out of town, but something pulled him back. He stopped by the gas station again. The same posters were still there, only this time, there was a new one. The bartender. The one from the Rusted Halo. Missing. Volf's jaw clenched. He knew that name Earl wasn't real. He checked the back roads near the bar, following tracks, trash, cigarette butts, anything that felt out of place. Years of living on the edge had made him sharp. And then, he found it. A piece of cloth, part of a waitress's apron, caught on a barbed wire fence near the woods behind the bar. Volf knew what this meant. Someone had taken her. He could have called the sheriff, but in towns like this, justice moves slower than death. So he called someone else, Sparks, an ex-biker and Volf's old brother from the Reapers. He owed Volf his life from a long time ago. When Volf told him what happened, Sparks didn't hesitate. "I'm in," he said. "I've seen reports of girls vanishing near I-75. Cops blame drifters, but it's too clean, too patterned." Together, they began to dig. Sparks hacked into truck stop surveillance feeds. And there he was, Earl. His real name, Earl Maddox. A long-haul driver who'd been on the road for 20 years, no fixed address, no family. He'd been seen in every town where a woman had gone missing. And worse, he'd been questioned before, twice. both times released for lack of evidence. Wolf stared at the screen. "This guy's a ghost," he muttered. Sparks nodded. "Then we hunt him like one." Wolf knew the kind of man Earl was. Predators like that don't stop, they escalate. He came up with a plan. He'd use himself as bait. Through a contact at a diner, Wolf spread word of a new female hitchhiker traveling alone along Route 82 heading north. He made sure the rumor reached the right ears. Then he waited. For 3 days, he parked his bike outside diners, gas stations, rest stops always near the highway. He wore a hoodie, keeping his face half hidden. And then, on the 4th night, a rusted Freightliner truck pulled up beside him at a rest stop near Valdosta. The driver stepped out. Earl. He didn't recognize Wolf at first. "Hey," Earl said, leaning against the truck. "You seen a girl pass through here? Blonde, small bag, maybe hitching north." Wolf flicked his cigarette, keeping his voice steady. "Yeah. Couple hours ago. Took off by foot near the old sawmill road." Earl grinned. "Appreciate it." Then he got back in his truck and drove off exactly where Wolf wanted him to go. Wolf followed. The road wound into thick woods, mist rolling low over the ground. After 10 miles, Earl's truck slowed, turning onto a dirt path hidden between pines. Wolf stopped, killed his engine, and followed on foot. There, behind the trees, he found it. A makeshift camp, empty liquor bottles, torn clothing, rope, and a fresh shovel mark in the dirt. Wolf's heart pounded. He pulled out his phone, whispered, "Sparks, we found him." Sparks had already tipped off the FBI, sending them Earl's file and the GPS coordinates. But Wolf knew backup would take time, and time was one thing he didn't have. He could hear something, a muffled cry, a woman. He crept closer, peering through the trees. Earl was there, dragging a terrified woman toward his truck, duct tape in hand. Wolf didn't wait. He rushed out, voice roaring, "Let her go." Earl froze, then smiled that same sick smile. "You again? Should have stayed out of this, biker." He swung a wrench fast, brutal, but Wolf ducked, countering with a hard right to the jaw. The woman screamed. The wrench hit the ground with a thud. They fought in the mud, rain starting to fall, thunder echoing through the woods. Earl was strong-built from years of hauling, but Wolf had rage. Real rage. The kind that's born from watching good people die while bad ones walk free. When Earl reached for a knife, Wolf grabbed his wrist, twisting until it cracked. The blade fell, and with a roar, Wolf slammed him against the truck. Sirens wailed in the distance. Earl tried to run, but Wolf tackled him down, pressing his boot to the man's chest until the agents arrived. When they pulled Earl up, blooded and defeated, he hissed through broken teeth, "She was just another nobody." Wolf leaned close. "Not anymore." It took days to process everything. The woman survived. Earl Maddox was charged with 7 counts of murder and 3 attempted abductions. His route had covered 5 states, all under the guise of long-haul trucking. When they searched his truck, they found a box of trophies, jewelry, hair clips, even photos. Each victim memorialized in silence. The FBI called Wolf a hero. The local news called him the biker who brought justice. But Wolf didn't want any of that. He just wanted peace. He rode out before sunrise the next morning, engine growling softly as the mist rolled off the highway. He stopped at the gas station one last time, staring at the now faded posters. Each face that once hung there was now part of the story, one that would never be forgotten. He lit a cigarette, whispering, "Rest easy, ladies. He won't hurt anyone again." Then he rode off, leaving the town behind. Months later, Wolf sat at a diner in Tennessee, the radio humming in the background. A news reporter said Earl Maddox had pleaded guilty to all charges, sparing families the trial. But what struck Wolf wasn't the plea. It was what the agent said next. Without the anonymous tip from an unidentified biker, these women might never have been found. He smiled faintly. Justice, in the end, had worn a leather jacket. Somewhere near the state line, Wolf stopped his bike to rest. The sky burned gold over the horizon. He thought about what his old leader, Duke, once told him back in his Reaper days. "The road doesn't forgive, brother, but sometimes it lets you make things right." Wolf had spent years running from his past, from guilt, from the violence that came with the biker code. But this time, that same code, the loyalty, the instinct to protect, became the reason lives were saved. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't even sure he was a good man. But that night, in the quiet hum of his engine, he found something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. 6 months later, Wolf stopped by a diner in Alabama. As he sat at the counter, a young woman came over to serve him. She looked familiar. He glanced up and froze. It was the woman he saved. She smiled shyly. Coffee. Wolf nodded, smiling back. Yeah, black. She set it down, and before walking away, she said softly, "You were there that night, weren't you?" Wolf didn't answer, but she smiled anyway. Thank you. He watched her walk away, tears burning behind his eyes. He whispered to himself, sometimes justice ain't about badges or titles. It's about doing what's right, when nobody else will. The camera would fade to the open highway, a lone biker riding toward the sunset, the sound of the wind carrying his final words. The law caught the killer, but the road caught his shadow. Sometimes heroes wear badges, sometimes they wear leather. But justice wears no uniform. It lives in the hearts of those who can't look away. This was dark evidence. Where truth rides with those the world calls outlaws. And every mile tells a story the system forgot to write. If you believe justice can come from the shadows, you're in the right place.